Thank you, everyone, for joining, and I apologize for the slight delay as we waited to make sure we had a quorum. Today is Friday, the 18th, and this is the Elementary Building Committee. We have a relatively short agenda, which is the construction update and any other date updates and invoices and public comments to follow that. And my understanding is from Margaret that Connor is going to do the presenting on the update because Ksenia is not here. And I need to allow people to share. Did I just allow you to or not?
Looks like I'm good. Yep, I can share.
Okay. So, and Angelica's here. But the first thing I need to do before you see, I'm a little rusty. I need to make sure the members of the committee. I'm only a month out of this, but I need to go around the room to make sure that everyone I can see on the screen can hear and be heard. So I'll start with Jonathan.
I'm here.
Jennifer.
Here.
Michael.
I'm here. I can hear you.
Allison.
I'm here.
Deb.
Here.
Angelica.
Here.
And Alicia.
Here.
And I do want to thank everyone. I realize grabbing even a short amount of time out of these hot, muggy summer months is difficult. So thank you all. So now, Connor, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Let's see. So first photo, where we were last month. See the walls are being put up. But moving on to this month, I will hand it over to Tim.
Yeah, sure. We've progressed it even a little bit further beyond where these photos are showing. The entire east half of the building, just about, or the classroom section, has board, and they've started to put up the air and vapor barrier on it. So you're going to start to see the basic shape of the building are and where the windows are. There's a view from the inside and the exterior on the north side here. And then on the upper floors, here you are looking at one of the few slabs on grade remaining to be poured. The steel structure is basically complete, and then within the next week, all of the concrete should be poured. So the floors, including the gym, stage, a few decks that have to be poured for the roof, mechanical equipment will be there. So the basic bones of the building will be complete, and then the light gauge framing and the windows and the exterior walls will be completed around the west side of the building. But here you can see stair C, which is incomplete, allowing workers to go up and down. And there is a fully functioning stair that will be available for the building tour of the building committee members next week. Here you can see the south side of the building with the light gauge framing for the windows and the classrooms. And on the right is the mock-up, which allows you to show the full complement of exterior masonry materials. And then there was a little reworking on the accent panel next to the window. So anyone who shows up next week, you'll see that it is now blue instead of the tangerine color. We were working out the joints and construction details with the mason, but you'll get a full sense of what the exterior cladding material will look like if you're on site. And here's a view from the roof. The roof is basically half on. This is the blocking condition at the edge of the roof where the sloped insulation terminates. And then here's a sort of zoomed out view that you can see the windows and the exterior cladding sheathing is coming together on the north side of the building. Just what is not shown in those photos and progressing all around the building, the geothermal well field is just about half in place. The site utilities around the building, including the stormwater retention in what will be the parking lot, is in place, and then some of the larger utilities in terms of the grease traps outside of the building and the storm drainage are all in place. So, despite this start, we are on schedule, and there will be a lot to see for anyone who shows up next week.
And just a reminder that site walk is 4 p.m. on Tuesday. If you're interested in attending, please email me. I know a few of you have already emailed me with your intent to come. So, but if you haven't yet and you want to come, please send me an email.
So I'm chairing, so I'm looking for any hands. I have a question, but I want to see if there are any other questions. Tim, on the mock-up that you showed, it had the dark brick and I think it had the lighter brick. And so I'm coming on the site visit next week. Is the lighter brick the light brick that was almost whitish that we were seeing when we go and see it? Yeah.
In some of the renderings, the lighter brick is almost whitish. There are 3 colors that are blended in that you couldn't fully see in those photographs, but those are the 2 major masonry materials. And then around to the other corner, there is a concrete block, a ground face block that is used at the library and the gym, which is even lighter. So you'll be able to see those colors when you're there. But looking at the side with the yellow panel, the brick on the right is the lighter color brick. Yes.
Okay. And that iron spot darker one, hopefully when I did sign up for coming and climbing the stairs. But if it's a sunny day, we would be able to see the fact that it has colors within it, right? That was that particular brick.
You should, yes, there certainly is variation within the color. It is not a solid. Ideally, it will be a sunny day and you'll be able to see the full palette. Also, in that photo, I don't believe it was washed down yet, which makes a difference. So the sort of haze and sort of residue from the mortar and just the process of installing masonry left it there. So on Tuesday, you'll get a full representation of what it looks like.
Then the other question I had is on the geothermal. You said it's about half in place. Will all of the drilling for wells be done before the school opens in September?
Progressing at the rate they are now, yeah, it should be another 4 weeks or so. So they should be done with the drilling. There will still be work going on, certainly.
Yep.
The horizontal part of the field, and there still will be work, but the drilling itself should be done. To date, they've only had a few wells where they've encountered any difficulty at all. So we expect them to continue at the same rate.
Any other questions? So it's partly a construction update, but the percent for art was voted on by the council. I think everyone knows that, and they are forming a committee. So there's interest in at least some of the building committee members being on the committee, and that's all I know, about it. And that will be both what the request is when it goes out to the artists and part of the judging panels of it. And it's not in the council's hand at all. It's the art council's hand. So Deb, I see your hand is up.
Hi, yeah, I have a non-construction question. Is now a good time to do that, or should I wait?
A construction question?
Construction unrelated to the building construction, more about funding.
About funding?
Yeah, I was wondering about, well, it was in the paper about the IRA credits.
Oh, I can answer. Probably no one else on this call is. There may be others who are up to date, but right now, what went through the big bill, the date fortunately is far enough out that we should still be covered for the geothermal side of our system. We won't get full confirmation, but it has to be put in place and operational, and ours will be in time for it. Less clear is the solar system. The sun panels, the panels. But those were always going to be billed separately, Deb. The biggie for us is the geothermal system.
What about the Eversource money or the, you know, the,
Eversource is unaffected by what Congress did. So Eversource is a when built, and then there's an extra amount that if we achieve the energy target, we get. But the big amount of it, Tim can speak to this, the big amount of that comes, we already signed the agreement for that.
It's state utility money, Deb, so it's not tied up with federal stuff.
okay, so there is no anticipation that whatever's going on in Washington will end up costing us more money on this project aside from materials costs?
Right, well, it was never going to cost us more. It was just the offset. You know, we moved 5 million out of reserves into the school budget. So the thought of the credits is the credits were going to go back into the savings accounts for the town.
Right, I see.
That was the plan for it. So
Okay.
the budget for the school stays the same. You know, so it was the potential to recoup some of what was moved out of our reserves into the school that would go back into the reserves. Is that
It does. It does, thank you.
So I think I'm not seeing any other questions. So the next item would be invoices. And Connor, I believe that's you.
Right. So you can see my screen again?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, starting off as always with the executive summary. Our green bar up here, previous invoice. Our black here is our current invoice package. Yellow, our unbilled portion of commitments. And then our white, currently uncommitted portion of the budget, which includes mostly contingency. Our current invoice package, which we'll get to, is $3,041,987. That's 3.1% of the budget overall, bringing us to 25% complete. Of the total project budget is 74,517,000 left on the budget. Moving down to our cash flow, yellow line is the current month. Sorry. You see, this package is a little bit less than our past couple of packages. As we've moved out of steel erection, this is going to be a small dip down, but as they enclose the building, more trades will continue to get involved, and we'll start to see an uptick, and we'll start to take this shape here. As always, this bar at the end is just holding the contingency. So unless there's any questions on the summary, move on to the invoice package summary. So this month we have 8 invoices, one for Answer, 2 for Danisco, one from Hub International, which is the builder's risk insurance policy, and then one from CTA, one from Bid Docs Online, which was an invoice for some printing, which we'll get to, and then 2 from Allied Testing, the third-party testing inspections agency. So first up from Answer, we have one invoice for $49,690. That's 2% of the contract overall, bringing us up to 44% complete, leaving 56% remaining. For Danisco, we have 2 invoices, one for the architect's June services, and then one for subconsultant invoice for geothermal consulting. And that first invoice for Danisco is at $65,000 that we routinely see every month for construction services. And then the consultant invoice is for $1,705. It's 1% of their contract overall, bringing up to 76% complete with 24% remaining. The Hub International's invoice is for $50,000. This was for flood insurance coverage. This is 30% of the contract overall, 100% billed. CTA construction, one invoice or one requisition for $2,858,005.42, 4% of their contract overall, bringing them up to 20% complete, 80% remaining. The bid docs invoice is for $699.15. This was for printing a set of drawings for the OPM site clerk Lee to have access to on site. And moving down to Allied Testing Labs, we have two invoices from them, one for $3,239 and one for $13,648. It's 4% of their contract overall, bringing them up to 18% billed overall. So unless there's any questions where we can look at it on the summary, we can move back to the backup, the actual invoices. So starting off with the answer invoice, $49,690. And scrolling through the backup for our invoice. Nisco's June invoice for $65,000. Nisco's second invoice for sub-consultant services at $1,705. I'm sorry, I might have said geothermal, but it's geotechnical consulting. It's the backup. The sub-consultant, here's the invoice from Hub International. Builder's risk policy, adding flood coverage, $50,000. Moving on to the contractor requisition CTA's invoice. Cover page here, current due $2,858,005.42. Moving on to the summary. Current application and stored materials. And then of course less 5% retainage. That's just to the total value. I'll pause on for a moment before we keep going. I can always go back if there's any questions about any of the invoices. The first Allied testing invoice. This one for $13,648. Second Allied invoice for $3,239. And finally, the Bid Docs Online invoice for printing a set of drawings and specifications for our on-site clerk. And that concludes the invoice presentation. As always, we have pre-reviewed these invoices and recommend them for approval. So unless there's any questions, I'll pass it back to Kathy. And yeah.
I see Deb's hand is up, Connor,
Okay.
so I don't know whether
Yep.
she's going to leave it up until we find out what her question is. Hi,
Of
Deb.
course.
Hi, I saw you scroll past a few change orders on that bigger spreadsheet with,
Yeah.
could you speak to those, please?
Yeah, so we're not billing towards any change orders this month.
This month, okay.
No, yeah,
Then
so we're
I'm-
completed from last month, but this
Right.
month there's nothing new. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
no problem.
Any other questions on the invoices as presented? If not, I make a motion to approve the invoices as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And I will look for a vote. Jonathan?
Yes.
Kathy's a yes. Jennifer?
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Angelica,
Yes.
and Alicia Walker.
Yes.
Okay, that's unanimous. They are approved. And, as always, everyone, the pictures that we just saw are being posted post-meeting. And I was asked by a resident over the last few weeks, how's the school going? We never see any information about it. And I said, it's going great. So I'm going to see if we can get a piece in the Gazette, Margaret, and I'll just work with people on what's a best picture. Maybe we'll take a picture of some of us who are going to the site visit, but just to let people know it's on target, on schedule. And they said, oh, the Gazette tends to have only bad news. It would be nice to get the good news side of it. The other thought I had is we've never featured our playground, the accessible playground that we've got. And a few years ago, they did it in other towns. And I thought we've got terrific pictures already from Danisco, so just trying to think of a piece and whether I write it or get the reporter to write it. So it was just an idea of trying to get the news out that what we're hearing is good news on this. Deb?
It might be nice if the graphic picked it up in the fall.
If the graphic,
The high school newspaper, if the graphic picked it up in the fall, I could reach out to the advisor on that, or you could.
okay. It's exactly, anything we can get out that gets it both to the parents and the kids who are in the building, but also the broader public on a news about the school, that something has happened since they voted to increase their taxes for the school. It's being built. Yeah. Allison?
Was this a person, a person who's got children in the school?
Say it again, I didn't quite.
Somebody said to you, is that even happening? And I was just curious, was that person?
No, it was literally not a person connected to the school in any way. It was children, young adults out somewhere, and he does read the Gazette, and he said, I haven't seen anything about the school. So I just thought there's a group of people out there that's kids went through the school system, but they're no longer attached to it in any way, so they wouldn't be getting news through the school system. And the Indy writes a regular piece on it, but not everyone is a reader of the Indy. So I was just trying to think a broader sense that this is happening would be a good idea. And not everyone reads the town press releases on this either. Just trying to think of there's some way of getting information out. So I don't see any others. So if there aren't any questions or comments, we do have public, and there are 2 attendees. So we are open for public comments if there are any. And just raise your hand and I'll bring you in. I don't see any public comments. So we have another meeting in August, and I think there's a hold on everybody's calendar for that meeting. And then it goes all the way through the fall where we have these monthly meetings, and unless I hear differently, it'll only be once a month, but there may be issues that we want to have 2 meetings or a longer meeting. So they'll normally be this short, and it would be the Margaret team and the Danisco team telling us if we need to. I've been booking them for an hour and a half, and we're usually coming in at about a half an hour. Jonathan, I see your hand just went up. Yeah.
Just mostly to say I won't be attending the August one. I'll be on vacation.
Okay. It would be great if people would let me know, each time we have the meeting, I have to hope we have 7, but all I need to know is that you're not coming. I don't need that you are coming, so that's great. So not seeing any other hands up. Allison, I think your hand is still up from before, correct? Yeah. So then I will make a motion to adjourn. I make a motion to adjourn, and I'll just do a quick vote. Jonathan?
Sorry, I muted and then unmuted myself. Yes.
Kathy? You say yes. Jennifer?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Angelica,
Yes.
and Alicia. So the meeting is
Yes.
adjourned, and anyone who wants to come on the site visit should let Connor know. So thank you all and have a great rest of the summer until we meet again in August. We are adjourned.
Good to see you. Bye-bye.